Thanks for staying with us. We're going to start with the nation. All giant Petrobras return is key gain of Tinubu's Brazil visit. NSA reunites 128 rescued victims with families. Abuja-Kaduna train derailment. Tinubu promises of support. Renewed Hope Initiative lifts 500 Zamfara women. Seun lawmakers visit Olubadan designate. PDP regrets fielding Atiku in 2023, says Abba Moro. Oyebanji, no one can pit Ekiti against Tinubu. And Benue Assembly suspends ex-speaker for anti-ally report, a Leah report. Okay, which story are we starting with? I can start with the major headline because I have that story. So according to the report, the return of Brazil's oil giant Petrobras to Nigeria upstream is a major breakthrough recorded by the President Bola Tinubu's 2-day visit to the largest economy in South America, that's Brazil. Minister of Information was saying this, Mohammed Idris, and also furthermore said Nigeria's largest airline, Air Peace, was also given the right to commence the Lagos-Sao Paulo flights to underscore the renewed economic and cultural ties between the two countries. Air Peace Chief Executive Officer Alan Oyema said the airline will deploy its Boeing 777 through from its fleet to service the route. A symbolic flight was planned for last night. We hope it actually went through. These agreements are part of the MOU signed by the two presidents, President Tinubu and President of Brazil. And also, furthermore, I think the president was saying that there's quite a bit of relationship between us and Brazil, and we should do more together. He had said that I don't know why the manufacturing of generic drugs, which Brazil has done deeply, cannot be done in Nigeria. So we should also share in pharmaceuticals and other innovations. So many companies, Brazilian companies, that we can actually do business with. So those who have left, they're getting new friends to work with us. So I'm happy that I think it was a successful trip to Brazil.
Yeah, I have the NSA reunites 121 rescued victims with families. So they said 128 persons that had been in captivity in Koronamuda have been reunited with their families by the federal government. They say the victims, comprising of men, women, and children, were freed in 2 waves of military and intelligence operation. We have the National Security Advisor, who assured Nigerians that this is not the end and this is only the beginning. Federal government would intensify the onslaught against terrorists. He vowed that there will be no safe haven for criminals. In fact, let's just quote him. He said, let me be unequivocally clear. This work will continue. There will be no respite in our operations. There will be no safe haven for those who terrorize our citizens. We will hunt them, we will find them, and we will bring them to justice, or they will meet the same fate as many kingpins already neutralized by our forces. He also thanked the military, security, and intelligence agencies for their role in the rescue. He said that what this has done is to crush create a crushing blow to the networks of terror and the network of terrors, that has been perpetrated by these bandits. And he's saying that we're given also a breakdown of the victims that were released. So in the first tranche, we had 42 individuals, 14 males, 27 females, and a toddler. Those ones were rescued August 14th. Then the second, we had 88 individuals made up of 34 males and 54 females. They said, unfortunately, in this group, one of the children died as a result of illness, either fatigue from, just being away. And then a lady also, a woman, gave birth prematurely, but the baby is in hospital. They said beyond just rescue, they have handed them over for therapy and, and because rescue is just one part of it. They also need to be healed, and they are also doing that. It's just good to hear that that is done properly, and I just continue to wish us success in this war against terrorism.
Okay, so I have a sad story of the Abuja to Kaduna train. In fact, I've been calling my mom because I'm very sure she will have 1 or 2 persons on that train, but she didn't pick up. But they said the president has assured that swift action and support will follow the derailment of the train, and he also spoke after receiving continuous updates on the incident while on a state visit to Brazil. They said he said he was deeply saddened by the development and expressed his sympathy to passengers affected. He also noted that he was waiting for a full briefing on the derailment to ensure prompt measures are taken, both to support victims and to strengthen the nation's railway operations. Also, the Nigerian Railway Corporation has begun remedial steps while investigations into the cause of the incident continue. I'm very sure maybe they must have stolen one of the, you know, those things that they steal. Yeah, so this is the second time a major thing like that is happening. If you see the photo, it's really very bad. Very bad.
I have the one on insecurity, and this is already, it's alarming and it's alerting. It says Save Kwara South from rising insecurity. The Igbomina Professionals Association, IPA, has raised concerns over growing wave of insecurity threatening villages, families and communities across Igbomina land and Kwara South. It's called for action to avert further escalation. In a statement signed by its president, Bode Ironloye, the association said more coordinated, sustainable and community-driven measures were required. Ironloye, a lawyer, praised the governor, Abdurrahman Abdulrazak, chairman of Ifelodun Rekodu Isi and Ekiti Council, as well as security agencies for steps taken so far. And he's also saying that the association said the recurring menace was undermining peace, agriculture, commerce and the fabric of communal life. That lasting peace in the Igbomina land requires the joint commitment of the government, traditional institutions, religious bodies, media and citizens working together in sincerity and truth. The statement read. So this one is like when it started happening in the east, nobody felt, but now it's still close and every part of the country is feeling this insecurity and we are still talking about it will end, it will end, it will end.
Same promises.
It feels like the coming of the Lord Jesus Christ.
Okay. The Punch 2027 PDP ticket zoning to South splits North. Picture story here of what Ramato just took. Probe begins as Abuja Kaduna train mishap injures 6. U.S. court jails Oshun monarch over the $4.2 million COVID-19 fraud. 239 first-class lecturers quit Unilag over poor pay, say ex-VC. ASU protests rocks campuses ahead of federal government talks. Withheld allocations, Oshun drags federal government to Supreme Court. And convicted Army General forfeits 5 billion naira shares in 17 companies. Let's take one story for the break.
So they say no fewer than 239 first-class graduates of the University of Lagos employed as lecturers left the institution within 7 years. This was according to Professor Oluwatoyin Ogundipe, who is an immediate past VC of Unilag, and he was speaking at an event, and he said that the reason for this is as a result of poor remuneration, unconducive working conditions, and low motivations among lecturers. So the idea is first-class graduates get employed as lecturers into university. But over the years, they just keep leaving. He even gave a breakdown. He said in 2015, 86 were employed. In 2015, 86 were employed. In 2016, 82 during my time. That is 2017 to 2022, 88 were employed. As of October 23, only 17 were on ground. They have gone, and in the next 10 years you will have only females in the universities if nothing is done. So that was where it was a bit you know, I'm like, what does that mean? So it means there's just the female lecturers that stay behind, but the men just have to find better working conditions, I guess. He says that if government doesn't do something quickly, like adequately fund the sector, universities in the next decade will be dominated by women, while poorly prepared candidates will gain entry into postgraduate programs.
Let's go on a short break. When we come back, we'll look at the other part of the paper. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us. We're still reviewing Punch. What's the story?
So I have the story of ASU. ASU again. They said the ASU on Tuesday staged coordinated protests across campuses nationwide to press home long-standing demands from the federal government. And the list of universities, they say Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Federal University of Lafia, University of Ilorin, University of Calabar, Abia State University, Usman Danfodio University, Plateau State University. There's so many of the universities listed. Osun State. They said the lecturers marched with placards chanting solidarity songs and warning of an imminent strike if government continue to ignore their plight. They said their demands remain consistent. That is one, implementation of the 2009 ASU FGN agreement, release of 3.5 months withheld salaries, payment of outstanding 25 to 35% salary arrears, promotion arrears, revitalization of universities. And they also said They said rejection of government proposed tertiary institution staff loan scheme and the adoption of the UTAS over the IPPIS to preserve university autonomy. They're saying that the ASU warned that the government will be held responsible if industrial peace on campuses collapsed. This ASU strike, God will help us.
Okay, I have the one that carried the U.S. court jails Osun Monarch over $4.2 million COVID-19 fraud. A United States District Judge Christopher Boyko on Tuesday sentenced the Akpetu of Ikpetu-Modu in Osun State, Oba Joseph Oloyede, to 56 months in prison over a $4.2 million COVID-19 relief fund. Fund fraud. A statement of the United States Attorney Office, Northern District of Ohio, indicated that Oloyede was convicted of creating and leading a scheme that defrauded more than $4.2 million from federal loan and grant programs designed to support small businesses that suffered economic hardship during the COVID-19 pandemic. The monarch pleaded guilty to a 6-count charge bordering on conspiracy to commit wire fraud, engaging in monetary transactions with criminally derived property, and making and subscribing a false tax return. Oloyede is a dual Nigerian and American citizen residing in Medina in Ohio. As part of his sentence, Oloyede was also ordered to serve 3 years of supervised release and pay of the tune of $4.4 million in restitution. He also forfeited his Medina home on Foot Road, acquired with proceeds of the scheme, as well as also paying the sum of $96,000 in fraud proceeds seized by investigators. So, Oba Ladi.
Okay. Anyway, the Federal High Court in Lagos has ordered the final forfeiture of over 245 million shares worth about 5 billion naira, traced to the former managing director of the Nigerian Army Properties Limited, Major General Umar Mohammed, and a businessman, Kayode Filani. Justice Dendedipe Olu have ruled on Tuesdays following an application by EFCC which alleged that the shares were acquired with proceeds of unlawful activities during Mohammed's leadership of the Army's property company. So, I mean, I'm happy that was forfeited, though. There was a part of it that I really wanted to read. It says that they forfeited from 17 of his properties just to be able to get this amount of money. I mean, how are you buying 17 properties?
One person, doesn't belong to you. Only one person.
You still sleep in one room.
Doesn't belong to you. There's all the money. Oh. Daily Sun is just sad. Daily Sun, kidnapping, 2.56 billion naira ransom paid in 1 year, reveals report. FG probes the Abuja-Kaduna rail derailment, suspends operation on the route. Again, Governor Mbak calls for Nnamdi Kanu's release. Bandits on rampage in Katsina. Murder security personnel abduct couple in dawn attack. Will wipe out terrorists and bandits, others too, says NSA. Withheld local government funds, Osun drags FG to Supreme Court. Okay, I was going to take the major headline. Okay. Let me take that. Says that Nigeria's kidnapping, excuse me 1 second. So Nigeria's kidnapping crisis has entrenched itself with a booming 2.56 billion naira economy. That is $1.16 million, according to the new analytics report by SBM Intelligence, seen on Daily Sun on Tuesday. It said that what was just a symptom of insecurity has now become a full-blown economy. According to the report, they corroborated and was corroborated by security and economic experts. The horror is fueled by widespread poverty, which we know, rising unemployment, and the persistent devaluation of the naira. The report was titled "Low-Cost Business: The Economics of Nigeria's Kidnap Industry." And kidnapping for ransom has emerged as a very pervasive and destabilizing criminal enterprise in Nigeria, one that capitalizes ruthlessly on the country's economic fragility. While precise ransom figures remain obscured by victims' fears and reprisal, the institutional capacity and escalating financial burden on the communities is quite undeniable. So this entire economy is worth over 2.5 billion naira. And in 1 year, they paid ransom to 4,722 criminals between last year 2024 June to this year June 2025. 1 year, almost 5,000 people. They kidnapped. Really damning.
I have Osun State government has filed a suit against at the Supreme Court of Nigeria against the Attorney General of the Federation over the alleged unlawful withholding of statutory allocations meant for its 30 local government councils since March of 2025. The lawyers for Osun State, led by Mark Ozekome, is asking the Supreme Court to compel the federal government to release all withheld funds and to stop what it described as an unconstitutional and arbitrary seizure of local government allocations. On the AGF side, they said since March 26th of 2027, they had advised that funds should be withheld pending resolution of what it had described as local government crisis in Osun State. However, Osun State is insisting that the Court of Appeal ruling settled the matter, affirming legitimacy of February 2025 elections and nullifying the October 15, 2022 local government polls conducted under previous administration. Long and short of it, their money since March has been held for local government, has been held back because the AGF said there were issues concerning the elections of that. There was a Court of Appeal that said that, everything was fine, they could go on, but they feel that the AGF is not following that. So their lawyers are going to be involved. We are going to be hearing, I'm sure, back and forth, whether these monies will finally be released or is it that the elections will be held, whatever it is. Money is involved.
Money is involved. I have the one that says that the federal government must build national savings culture to attract investment, and this is from the stockbrokers. The Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers, CIS, has called on the federal government to urgently develop a national savings strategy aimed at mobilizing domestic capital to finance industrial growth and support Nigerians' aspiration to build a $1 trillion economy. The call was made in a communique issued after a high-level policy workshop hosted at the State House Conference Center, Aso Rock Villa, Abuja, with the theme, Capital Formation in Nigeria, Empowering Industry Institutions and Markets to Drive a $1 trillion Economy. And the communique jointly signed by the CIS President and Chairman of Council, Olorokwo Dada, and the Registrar Chief Executive, Ayerinde Adeoni Kweku, stressed that while the $1 trillion economic ambition is attainable, it requires deliberate and coordinated reforms to deepen capital mobilization across all sectors. He said Nigeria is in dire need of a national savings strategy to mobilize local capital and channel into productive sectors, particularly manufacturing and technology, the institute said. So I think savings habits, it trickles down.
Okay, so I have my state. My state is still bleeding. Earlier in the week, I read a story where they said they killed some people in the mosque. Now again, there's another attack again in Katsina State. They said they raided the residential community this time around. They said the spokesman, Katsina State Police Commander Sadiq Abubakar, said the attack happened at about 3 a.m. in Feeling, Canada quarters. He said the Katsina State, where the armed men stormed the home of 33-year-old Anas Ahmadu, abducting him along with his wife and daughter Jidda. And then they also, in the process, they killed a vigilante, an old vigilante who is 25 years old. They said that they shot him dead instantly, but they are saying that the police people said officers responded swiftly, but the government had already escaped. So they are telling the public that the residents that they should report to any suspicious activity and pledge that all information will be treated confidentially.
Okay, we have to wrap up, but there was a story in Vanguard that caught my attention about this. You guys saw the videos of the accident that happened on Terminal Bridge. Young guys had a car race.
Yes. Was it a car race? They were speeding.
Yeah. We now went on a car race, like a Formula 1 car race on Terminal Bridge. One of them lost control, plunged into the lagoon. He said a 29-year-old lady was
she also part of the race?
Maybe she was. Maybe I don't know. We couldn't confirm she was a driver or passenger. There's now the dispute between FRS and LASTMA saying there are two. Somebody saying there's two bodies. One says one body. Others are saying there are plenty bodies.
Police said they were not aware.
And then on social media, it says that the family had to pay for the evacuation of that body to locals. Like government president wasn't seen.
Well, the another version said the government was able to take them to the hospital. I don't. It's just sad. I mean, there's a conversation around after club, the craziness and just having it. You know, when you do Femiland Bridge and kids just feel like, let us race. This is what. Come on. Let's just go
Bridge with speed limit.
I heard that there are cameras on it. To our next segment. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.